What's up everyone, I hear you pausing for the new video, so here we are. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And today in our studio, we have the Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. It's a stunning revival that turns back the time. There was a time when Prince of Persia was one of the Ubisoft crown jewels. The franchise has an extremely long legacy and a deep history that spans all way back to 1989 and the Apple II. It is important to establish that, as if you have not been tracking games before the last decade, you'll be forgiven for not really even knowing about nothing about the Prince of Persia. The series hasn't gotten main title games since 2010, with The Forgotten Sands, and in the broader cultural zeitgeist, the film adaptation starting like Jake Gyllenhaal in the same year. The reason for Prince of Persia disappearance isn't exactly a mystery either. What was the one of the Ubisoft most profitable franchises becomes supplanted by the Assassin's Creed. Famously, that series came to be out experimentation of the Prince of Persia open world game. Ubisoft became more enamored with the assassins and it let them explore more history, thus rendering Prince of Persia obsolete. There just wasn't room for two historical platforming assassinating with at the time weirdness franchise. And on that shelf, Prince of Persia has a set for the best part of the decade, and a half bar some remains and mobile outthings. That was until Ubisoft Montpellier stepped in. This particular wing of Ubisoft has a great history exceptional to and employed platformers, especially with them being the custodians of Rayman. This match, as it turns out, was made in heaven. Montpellier has found the perfect niche for the Prince of Persia as reimagined Metroidvania, making it completely distinct from Assassin's Creed and finding a new voice for the franchise to flourish. So, about a little bit of the details about the Prince of Persia. So the price would be $49.99. And since the Sands of Time 2003 and onwards, the Prince of Persia has been a 3D action game with a focusing on platforming and puzzles. Montpellier has stepped this by reimagining the Prince of Persia formula, putting it into a side-scrolling form once again. This brings it closer to its original roots. This really works and helps define what could be a new era of Prince of Persia and something unique in the current landscape. However, this isn't just 2D platformer, at least it's in the border form. No, instead it's a Metroidvania straight up. Some people hate that categorization, so to put it into concrete terms, Prince of Persia The Lost Crown is clearly a modern riff of Castlevania Symphony of the Night. While games like Hollow Knight and Ori series has been popular recent examples of the genre, The Lost Crown feels even more faithful to Konami's classic. If you have not played that game, essentially, you move around a connected world full of different biomes. You unlock various powers as you go, so able to reach new areas to follow the story campaign, facing off against various bosses. This 20-hour adventure is full to bring them innovative ideas, platforming, innovating combat, and staging bosses too. The vast majority of the Prince of Persia The Lost Crown takes place in Mount Kuaf. It's a gorgeously crafted location that will have you exploring for hours, hiding some truly delicious puzzles and enemies throughout its countless nooks and crannies. Playing as Sargon, a member of the protected group of the Immortals, you are thrust into the Mordquaf to find a kidnapped prince. Once you're there, you find a lost city cursed by the time, and the story itself, intriguing, unfolds from as you being to wrestle with the various characters and, of course, the time. It's the simple story setup, but it is to get you on and about and in gorgeous locations. As you progress, you get access to the powers such as double jumps, dashes, the ability to freeze yourself in a space and return to that point, and more and more and more. Every time you get a new power, it's always exciting as one previously hard to traverse areas become delightfully trivial. This is until you realize Ubisoft Montpellier is going to use the newfound power to make even more friendishly complex platforming puzzles. Some of later positions and portions of the game are a joy to figure out. You have the string abilities together in ever increasing difficulty. often all without going you the time to get a breather. In these moments, it can create the breathless sequences where you're trying to hit in your transversal ability perfectly. Once you can pull it all together, it feels completely gratifying. Transversal and puzzle platforming are exceptional, especially as you begin to unlock more and more of those converted powers. Of course, platforming puzzles and moving around the world is great and all, but I'll be nothing without the great combat. Thankfully, Montpellier has served a refined government plate for anyone who has a palate for 2D combat. You can do pretty deep into the game just by spamming the attack button over and over, but there are moments where the game will want to take a more deliberate approach by participating in the wording training. You soon find out how much there is to consider and dig it from defensive moves, combos that utilize all of your special powers, as well as things like launchers and the air juggles. You can become a master when you start to cleverly string those combos together. The first time you realize you can change an attack, create a double of yourself to let off the attack and return to your double, and then let it off again, you realize there is deep here that is only limited by your imagination for stringing your arsenal together. Nowhere does the combat came together better than its game and many guides boss battles. These can be very challenging and often will be the points where you get a serious reality check on your mastery of the game systems. It's not uncommon to come up against a boss and realize you need to leave and get stronger by upgrading your equipment and life. But when you get into these tense boss fights, they are a thrill of adrenaline and artistry. Figure out how to dodge certain attacks and get the boss to half healed. Well, they are not going to do a cutscene assisted anime move on you, but some of the most stylish visual expectations you see and morph into their next, more challenging phase. These boss fights are Prince of Persia and its pinnacle and are so exhilarating that it's hard not to feel a little remorseful once you do best as a boss, and it means you won't be fighting them again. Well, it's not all perfect. Mind, while you might think it's a maitre d', the string of the story wouldn't matter. The Lost Crown tried to do some interesting things. There is more here than the goal location, save the prime, the character moments, some twists, and it's exceptional relationship that elevate the game past most in the genre. That's why it is sad that after some strong moments and the boss fight, the game sort of peers out. The presentation of some of later scenes feels like a strange step down from what came before. The game losing on a bit is trademark flair towards the end. This is the grand scheme is a tiny gripe, but it did make a rolling the credits feel a little anticlimactic. Of course, I wasn't necessarily here for the story. The only reason this ended up hitting harder was because there were times earlier on the Ubisoft Montpellier tried to elevate the narrative and raised hopes it could meet that ambition. Also, it might be circumstantial, but in one boss fight, Sargon turned invisible and immune damage, terminizing it. Of course, I could have stopped and reloaded, and hopefully it will be more punched in time, but it was a strange glitch that hurt a big moment in campaign for me. Well, so about the conclusions, Ubisoft Montpellier has brought an invigorating energy with a breathtaking art style, impressively expressive combat, mind-stretching platform puzzles, and deeply challenging bosses. When it's all coming together in an audio visualization crescendo and its thing to behold, this ode to Symphony of the Night and the other greats in general understands what made those so good and finds new life. Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown is an absolute triumph, charting the future for this foreign franchise. Here's hoping it finds its audience, because it would be a tragedy to have something this good lost to time once again. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment and subscribe. Peace.